Good morning. This is a fine day to work on a vehicle outside. Outside of a garage because you don't have one, and basically on a hard asphalt tiny driveway. Got a 2006 Chrysler Town & Country up on the ramps, 3.8 liter engine. It is making a horrible noise coming from the passenger side when the engine's running. Thought it was the alternator, changed that out. It is, in fact, it looks like a destroyed clutch on a AC compressor, and I'll be changing that out. So I'm going to try it up on the ramps. I have the wheels chalked in the back for safety. I've done my research. It looks like I'm going to try to bring the compressor up through, well, actually off to the side of the engine bay, but I'm going to have to remove these dual electric fans. To do that, I'm going to have to remove this shroud here, this plastic shroud, some Phillips head screws, looks like a 10-inch bolt, little fastener that'll make this plastic front grille come loose. Remove this shroud out of the way, and I'll be able to get to the this metal bracket, the steel bracket, which has some bolts, which I'll show you that once I get the shroud off. The tools I'm going to be using at first, like I said, 10mm socket for the bolt, these Knipex pliers for the fastener, the plastic fastener, maybe along with a flathead, and then the Phillips screwdriver. I'll let you hear what the engine sounds like and give you a side view where you can see the clutch when I get that splash guard out of the way. It's really loud at this point. I'm very concerned that it might not last much longer before it just disintegrates altogether. Then I break my serpentine belt. As far as I know, last I checked, it has no Freon in it. It's all escaped. I lost it somewhere, and so there's no pressure. So nothing to evacuate at this point. My goal with this video is just to show you how to put on a new compressor and not have the clutch engage at all, but just be a reliable pulley basically for the rest of the for the serpentine belt. Don't want to have it risk breaking. So I don't need the AC at this time of year, so it's not a concern that way. And I'll do another follow-up video with me purging the system and charging it with the Freon. So let me get to this shroud and get this off. Okay, with the plastic shroud off, like I said, there were 5 Phillips head screws I had to take out. There were 2 10mm bolts, one right there, one on the other side. This is where the plastic fastener was. I put those Knipex pliers under there and just kind of rocked it up, and maybe used the flathead too to get it started. So like I said, 2 10mm bolts. Here's the other side, passenger side. There's the other fastener right there. And now what we have is, when we look at it, we have, see, 1, 2 13mm bolts on that side. 1, 2, so 4 13mm bolts I need to get rid of to get this metal cross piece off. What I'm going to do, and you can see this is holding the fan assembly in place. Not sure if I have to unbolt this here or leave it bolted and just pop it up. I'm pretty sure there's rubber grommets that sit down in the fan assembly. This overflow hose, might need to get that out of the way, but my plan is, I saw this doing some research, that I can just unbolt this cross piece and flip it over to the driver's side, let it hang down the front near the front bumper on the driver's side, and just leave it with the cable, the hood unlatched cable attached still, and have it out of the way. So then I think there are 2 bolts in the holding the fan, maybe to the radiator mount, that I can maneuver this double electric fan out of the way. So let me get this this cross piece off next. We'll see what we have. So with those 4 13mm bolts out of the way, I found out that this bracket just sits in there like I thought inside the rubber grommet, so you can just lift that out. The whole thing lifts up. It's all pretty loose in there. That actually lets you provide a lot of give. It sits down in some slots down there at the bottom of the engine area. You can see everything's really loose with the shroud and this cross piece unattached. So this should give us enough room to work on the compressor to get to the bolts and the plugs correctly, or easily rather. And like I said, I'm going to lift this cross piece up, set it down over here to the side, get it out of the way, and then we'll look at what's next. What's next with the radiator fans. So just wanted to show over here. So you can see over here is a 10mm bolt, and there's one on the passenger side. So you got to take out those 2 bolts. For the plug, you have to pop up the red tab. I was able to get this one by hand. This one here is going the opposite way. I had to get those Knipex pliers and kind of push down. So as soon as you can do that, let's see here. Might take me 2 hands. Should be a little clip that you have to push in at the same time. I'm probably gonna have to use 2 hands to get that off. After those bolts are out, it's unplugged. The plan is to try to slide this fan assembly up and out through the top here. I think you have to clear this radiator hose. I did have to take the overflow hose loose. It came loose real easy, and just set it over here to the side. So that's my next step. Once I get that out, I'll show you what it looks like inside there then. But I believe those are the only bolts holding this fan in, and I think it sets on either in some slots at the bottom or on some studs or something. Should come out. I've had it out before. So a couple things I wanted to go over real quick. When you have this tab pushed up like it is in the position it's in now, see? Well, I can't. I guess it won't go down until it's clipped. Then you have to squeeze really hard on the very end of this right here to get that plug off. Like I said, I had to use the Knipex pliers there to get this side off, to push this end right here up, brace the other end on this black plastic piece to unlock it, and it came up. You can see this little nub here. There's one on each side of the fan assembly. I have it sitting there. It goes into that groove right down there, and down there you can see there's a little metal hanger. That's where you have to get this part of the fan assembly in there when you put it back in. Right here, these ears where the bolts went through, the 10mm bolts, I had to maneuver it up back towards the firewall, and then I was able to push the little ear, push in the hose, the radiator hose, and clear it through there without taking off this this hose, which I was thankful to not have to do, and the loose coolant and everything. So it's out now. If you look down here, let's see, there's the alternator I changed, and down here you can see is where the high and low lines go for the connect for the AC compressor. There is the plug for the clutch to turn, the electrical connector for the clutch to turn on and off, so we'll have to unplug that. And there are 4 bolts, 2 smaller ones and shorter ones, 2 longer ones, for the compressor. But I'll get into that when I get closer to removing it. You can see we have lots of room now to work and get our wrenches and sockets in there to pull it out this way, and should come out easily. I think it's actually going to come out from the side, the wheel well perhaps, but we'll see. Anyway, got lots of clearance here. I do remember I did replace the transmission cooler and the radiator in this, and that's when I think I had a leak in the I think I had a leak in the transmission cooler with the where I lost my Freon there. But anyway, just wanted to show all that, and we'll get to I'm going to take off the splash guard on the passenger side next to get access to the belt tensioner and be able to get the serpentine belt off, slip that off the compressor. So I'll show that next. All right, I'm up under the passenger side wheel well, and you can see right up there is one fastener. There's one right there, and there's another. Should be so right there at the corner on the plastic, and right here is the final one to the going across the front of the car. So it's just the four of them. Had it off before. This should give us more than enough room. Here's the wheel, the tire for reference. Should be more than enough room to get the compressor out this way. So I'm just gonna get these off. Either leave this attached down here at the bottom and just swing it out of the way, or maybe I'll just take it all the way off. But same thing, just use the Knipex pliers, the flathead, just pry these out. I've had these off many times, so that's the next step. Here's a shot of the two nuts that are holding the high and low pressure lines. 13 millimeter is what they are. I can get to them real easily now with these fans out of the way. There's one of the bolts for the, you can hardly see it, it's covered in all that grime. It's 15 millimeter, top one. There's the bottom one, 15 millimeter. And there's two off on the pulley side, two nuts that are 15 millimeter, 4 total, and that'll get your compressor loose. I'm going to take the line nuts, the 13 millimeter line nuts out first, and disconnect those so I can maneuver the compressor out of the way. Also, I got to remove the serpentine belt. The splash guard I just have on that last fastener, just on that front frame. I just have it still attached to that, just hanging down. So that'll be the next step. Right now, since I'm here, I'll just go ahead and take off those two 13 millimeter nuts for the lines, and then I'll get the serpentine belt off. All right, I'm back on the passenger side, up near the compressor. You can see there looks like it's all lost some kind of gasket material there, and it has some discoloration. It makes a whole lot of noise. There's one of the bolts there, and up here where I have the socket is the other bolt. The long bolts, these are 15 millimeter. So those two bolts on the side have to come out. And I've got my favorite contraption for loosening the idler pulley. It's a bar that fits up inside that. It's got that square peg, and then you just use a ratchet and you crank towards the front of the engine. You can see it releases the tension, releases it just enough, and probably have to put down the camera. Once I do that, I'll be able to slip that off the compressor. That's all I'll do, is just slip it off the compressor. And there you can see when I have my hand free, I was able to Slip that off the compressor, left the rest in place. I may replace this belt. I'm not sure. I did not too long ago, but anytime you have the belt off, you know, if it's relatively inexpensive, less than $30, I think I can get one and give you a little more assurance. Anyway, next step is to take off the bolts. I've loosened the refrigerant lines already, and I'll break the bolts loose, maybe leave one bolt in, and disconnected the I've also disconnected the electrical connection for that, and it is up here. Here it is, right here, and it's to the compressor. Same thing. It's got a little tab you have to slide over, and you pinch down right on the end of it. It came off pretty easy. So next step is to take the bolts out, like I said. I wanted to get a shot of the 2 bolts in the front, down here, front of the compressor. There's one of the holes there, and the one below it, right there. There's the one above it. They use identical bolts. They're very long. That's those. And then the 2 nuts on the side, they're all 15 millimeter. There's a shot of the lines disconnected. Like I said, there was no pressure inside there. They're loose. You're able to move those out of the way. The compressor's just sitting there at the moment. It actually does move. It's on the studs still. I'm not sure if those studs come out or not, but I'll be trying to work that compressor out next. But just wanted to show you what it looks like. See, I can rock it. It's just sitting on those studs. When I read up on this, I think it also can rest on that radiator hose. But I'll be trying to maneuver out that compressor here in a minute. But everything's loose. Also wanted to get a shot of I have the electrical connector up out of the way. Here's the one that connects to the compressor. As you can see, it's got one of those red lock clips again, and again you pinch down right there on the end, and that's what it looks like. This is the electrical connector for the compressor. So next thing would be to get the compressor out of there, and it is loose in there. I did say I would start it up, and it just made a terrible sound. I said I would try to get that on camera, but sorry, I got ahead of myself. So I'm not going to put it all back together so I can let you hear that sound, but it's a screeching, almost like a grinding sound. It's a terrible sound. So hopefully it'll be nice and quiet when I get it put back together. So I'm up under the vehicle looking up where the compressor was, and I wanted to show a shot of the low AC line and the high. I think the high is the smaller one diameter. Had to clean them out because got a greasy engine, dirty, and the lines bumped up against the grease, got some in there. I actually used a Q-tip to get it all out. You don't want to add any contamination to your AC, your refrigerant. Just gonna cause you trouble later. But I cleaned it all up. Have new gaskets that are gonna go in the grooves here, and also a new gasket, flat gasket that goes here that meshes up. My compressor already came filled with the right oil, the correct oil, and I'm just going to lubricate a little bit of that oil it came with on that O-ring, because they're going to come in contact anyway with that oil. So you read online and there's all kinds of advice what kind of oil to use, and I just finally decided, well, I'm going to put on there what's already came with the compressor. So anyway, the next step is I'll show you the old compressor and the new compressor and get ready to put this thing back in. Oh, by the way, the compressor came right down through this area between the oil filter and the radiator line. It just dropped straight down. No problem at all. Plenty of clearance. Didn't have to remove anything else except for the electric fans, and it just dropped right down through here. The studs on the passenger side remained in place. You can see them. There's the bottom one. There's the top stud right there, and they're stationary. Remove the nuts. The compressor rested on those studs till I slid it off, and it just came, like I said, right down through the bottom of the engine here. Here's a shot of the new compressor and the old compressor. Just wanted to show you how bad. Makes a lot of noise. When you turn it, you can see its clutch is literally destroyed in this one. This one, so free spinning. Spins so nice. No noise. This one, that's where all the noise is coming from. So this is where I was hearing all that noise from. This should definitely take care of it. If I look here, I bought a Denso. It comes with this ND oil 8, and it's already filled with oil. I checked. Has these caps on here. When I mount it, I'll just pull these out. Like I said, I'm going to lubricate the O-rings a little bit with some of this ND8 oil. Looks like a really good compressor. I think I paid just right around a little under $200 for this, and made in the USA. Glad to see that. Got a brand new Bando Serpentine belt I'm going to add as well. Might as well swap it out since the other belt probably received a little bit of damage, a little bit of wear, and anyway, just while it's off, it's a good idea to change your Serpentine belt and get a little bit more insurance as to how good the belt is. So next thing is to do is mount this, well, put the O-rings on and the new gaskets, and mount this up. All right, just wanted to get a shot. I got the compressor back in. It went back in from the bottom. No problem at all. The lines, I made sure I had the new gaskets. They're metal. They're very hard to get around the lines, and there is like a portion of the gasket that sticks up, and it has to go down into the inside the compressor body, the flared side. So when you put the little tabs down that go where the studs are going to push up through the lines, you put the gasket on the lines, and then you put the O-ring on the line, and then when you mount them to the compressor, the flared side actually goes into the compressor body. And so I have everything tightened up. The 2 bolts and the 2 nuts on the passenger side are all tightened up, and as well as the line nuts. And like I said, I'm not gonna immediately charge this system yet. It's cold right now. I'm not worried about that, but I did want to make sure that, like I said, I didn't have the pulley just completely disintegrate on me and have the Serpentine belt break. So now I'm just gonna put the new belt on, the new Bando belt made in the USA. Gonna put that on, and when I fire this up, it should be a lot quieter. And I did hook the, there's a good shot of the connector. The connector for the compressor is clipped back there, clipped again, and I went ahead and pushed the red tab back in, and it's secure on there. And I'll probably pull, there's a relay and a fuse for the AC compressor that's listed. I'll probably pull those just so it doesn't try to turn the clutch on at all without any refrigerant. And I'll do that later on, and I'll try to make another video for that. So I just wanted to show a shot of the at the bottom here. The compressor's all in. Like I said, I just got the new Bando belt made in the USA on there. I kind of forgot how to route the belt, and on the shroud that I took off in the front, there is a belt routing chart diagram on how to do that. What I recommend is you go around the fuel pump up top there, the top pulley there, and then you go around the water pump, and then twist the belt and put it around the idler pulley. That's the order I did it in. And then I went around the tensioner pulley. Yeah, go around, like I said, the top pulley, water pump, twist it, put it around the tensioner pulley, and down here I think this is like a dampener or crankshaft pulley here. And then I also had the other end going up, the idler's up there above the tensioner, so it goes under there, the grooves are down. Then I went around the alternator, and then I put my wrench on the tensioner and released the tension, and then finally the last thing I put it around was the compressor. And then make sure all your ribs are inside the pulley grooves, and you can see the power steering pump there at the top. You have to do I went on above the top of the engine bay to see that, make sure it was all in the groove. So just a little tip there. That's how I routed the new belt back on. So with the belt back on, I'm ready to put the fans back in. I made sure the two electrical connectors were pushed out of the way. Took my overflow tube and pushed it back out of the way. We're going to get the bottom of the fan, that plastic piece, get that inside those little metal clips there, and also the little plastic nubs on the side go into those plastic grooves. Make sure it sits in there nice. And before we'll probably have to bend those ears of the or get those ears around this radiator hose. We'll be able to flex this out of the way to make sure it clears that to get back down in there. And then we'll bolt it up, and probably the next thing I'll show you is just how it sounds with everything put back together. Alright, I just wanted to get a shot of everything running. Obviously the compressor is not, the clutch is not engaged. The sound is gone, the terrible grinding sound. So that's, we have a good pulley on there now. Like I said, I'll make a new video, another video hopefully when I charge the AC system up as it starts to get warmer, gets closer to that. But for now, I'm just going to let it ride like this. I guess that's about it. Just making sure everything's turning okay and the grinding sound's gone and it seems to be idling okay. Thank you as always for watching. Hope this was helpful to someone.